Hello and welcome back, or hi for the first time. I'm Danny, and this is my Not a Jam Game Jam Devlog series. My friends and I are doing a self-imposed game jam running from October 11th to December 1st. Allow me to introduce you to our team. I'm Danny. I'm the team lead and the character artist. We have our writer, M, our programmer, Celeste, our composer, Jamie, and our background artist, Steven. And together we make Serious Whimsy. The game is called Through the Cracks, and you play as a tiny little fairy person named Lily, who is part of a community of tiny little people who live within the walls of a human's house. Lily is an apprentice courier, which means she takes quests from the other NPCs to deliver them what they need. Last devlog, I managed to get quite a bit accomplished. I got the players run sprites and idle sprites for all 4 directions, as well as her dialogue portrait, and also a front idle and dialogue portrait for her dad, Oleander. For this devlog, I want to get as much done as possible. I want to finish designing the NPCs. I want to draw the front idle of the mom. I want to draw the mom's dialogue portrait, and I want to get some UI down. Let's get into it and see how I do. So I'm taking the remaining 6 NPCs 3 at a time, starting with the Master Courier, who is friends with Lily's parents. The idea I had for him was that he's sort of like almost a construction worker or a delivery guy, and he wears like a high visibility vest. Which is funny because you really shouldn't be wearing high visibility when you're hiding in someone's house. The idea behind the shoelaces is that he uses them to secure things to his back. And for the mechanic, there was no problem whatsoever. I just drew her and had a fantastic time. So the mechanic is probably my favorite design of the NPCs. I really hope that we can give her a fun and interesting personality in the writing to make her shine as much as she shines in my heart. The rancher, on the other hand, he was never quite doing it for me, but I just let it slide and, try to do my best. He's an NPC, he's not the main character, it's not a big deal. Don't worry about it, Daniel. For the rancher, I feel like I made the cardinal sin of not thinking about what his personality is. In my mind, I was imagining someone kind of like the grass-type gym leader in Pokemon Sword and Shield. I wasn't that inspired, and so it doesn't shine through. Choosing the colors for everyone was not too hard. It was hard for the rancher, of course, because the rancher made nothing easy for me. It was certainly a decision to choose to give the mechanic Dusty oil stains, and also later on I give the rancher a plaid shirt. You'd think I would have learned from the fact that I struggled so much with keeping the stripes consistent on Oleander's suit, but I just can't help myself. If it looks good, I want to do it. Speaking of things that look good, I just don't know about that rancher. His design just doesn't say anything, It's like I tried to communicate who these characters were for everyone but the rancher. Why did I do that? A few more tiny details and I export the image thinking that I'm done. But there are problems. So many problems. Allow me to walk you through them. This is actually a pretty common problem that I have with my art, and you might have it too, where you draw everything straight on. So if you look, everything's just straight, or perhaps even curving in the wrong way. So what clearly needs to be done here is the shoes and feet need to have more dimension, and there needs to be an actual ground plane, basically. One that isn't just a flat horizon. And the eyes here, the eyes, the nose, the features on the courier, they're just too big. He's supposed to be like a big, tall, fat guy, and his eyes are taking up so much space that it doesn't look that way at all. He just looks like a regular guy, but bigger instead of a guy who is also big. That doesn't make sense. So let me fix that. So with those quick fixes, they're pretty much ready to go, and I can move on to the next characters. Except no. Wrong, because I can't stand looking at this rancher anymore. His name is Basil, by the way. So I start over completely. First off, he's got to have a better pose, something with way more personality. And I also decided around this point, you know what? I think he could be a little bit queer. So I gave him a pose that is a bit jaunty and a lot more interesting, that says more about who he is. And who he is just a friendly, confident, not straight cowpoke guy named Basil. I started thinking about what I wanted to keep from the old design, and that was definitely the chaps and the pinbacker bolo tie, as well as the zip tie belt. And the hat, which was plastic before, I really wanted to push the fact that it was just a tiny little plastic hat. And so, thinking it was maybe a Barbie hat, I wrote on the side, made in China, because so many little plastic things have that stamped on them. I thought, that wasn't particularly funny, and I could do better. There's a much more interesting alternative here, and that is a hat that says choking hazard. So, I wrote out choking hazard, I beveled and embossed it, and I popped it onto the design right in the empty space, and it looks really good. Now he's like, kinda hot. Now he's a little more suggestive, a little more playful, a little more fun. Ranchers just want to have fun, as they all say. And this design quickly shot up to the top of my favorites list, just blowing Dusty out of the water. I was flipping between the before and after. Here, I'll flip between the before and after for you. Look at that, look at the difference. What a confident pose and thoughtful design can do, Hot off the heels of that success, I jump over to my Trello and I move everything over. Next up, we've got the rest of the NPCs, the gardener, the gardener's apprentice, and the doctor. I was keeping in mind the lessons I had learned from previous and was trying to angle the feet down more as I drew. With Marigold, what you see is what you get. She's a kindly old woman who's also a gardener. She's got an apron that's tied back with twine, and she uses a fork as a shovel and a rake, I think, as well as a walking stick. Now, Reed, I imagine, is kind of the quiet type. I can't decide if Reed is non-binary or a boy, so I'm just gonna say right now, Reed has no gender, so Reed is a very quiet sort of character. They're probably very opinionated but keep everything to themselves. Even though they're around the same age as our player character Lily, I don't think they're particularly close. Next, of course, we've got Willow. I haven't quite decided Willow's personality. She seems kind of stern to me, but that might be because she is very caring and cautious. And I tried to draw a stethoscope before I realized, where would they get a stethoscope that worked, Maybe she has one that's a toy from Dr. Barbie. I'm really referencing Barbie a lot lately. I feel compared to the other 6 characters, Marigold, Reed, and Willow kind of have more muted color designs, but I also imagine they're a little bit less active in the narrative. Not every character needs to be as bombastic as Basil, then Basil wouldn't stand out. Gaze upon my accomplishment as it pans across. I feel like these characters are very strong as a whole. They feel very much so like they all belong together in a little town. It's time to return to Trello for the last time, because after this I switch to Notion. But let's move these guys aside, and up next is the mom, Rose. So with Oleander, his idle pose swayed back and forth, shifting his weight from foot to foot. I wanted Rose to feel a lot more stable, and so the animation that I had planned for her was just a simple breathe in and breathe out sort of expansion of the chest, which I did not record for some reason. I think my OBS messed up. That's okay, it was pretty subtle. I had quite a bit of fun lining and coloring her. I really enjoy Rose's design. I feel like she gives off exactly the vibes I want her to give off. One thing I forgot to do was give her eyes highlights, so in her final animation, she looks rather lifeless. So here's her animation of breathing. I think it looks really good. I also, off camera, drew her portrait poses. I need to give her some poses for talking and reacting to things. I knocked out Rose pretty fast and easy, no big deal. And as promised, here we are on Notion. I will admit, just making a click on a to-do list is a lot less exciting than dragging something over from doing to done. That's just how the productivity app crumbles. And then the most incredible thing happened. Steven finished the background for our vertical slice. Take a look at this. Oh my God. It is gorgeous. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever laid my eyes on. Just mwah, mwah, amazing. It is so beautiful. And it also so closely resembles the sketch that I sent him. But look at that, look at the colors, it's so homey. Steven did just an absolutely incredible job. It looks just amazing. And I can't wait to play the build. And in fact, while I had to wait, you don't, because the build is right here. Celeste did a fantastic job putting everything together, although not all of the new assets are implemented. I actually changed Lily's dialogue portrait as well as Rose's portraits are not implemented quite yet. But everything else looks so good. The movement feels good. I should note as well that I did not draw these dialogue assets. That's the one thing in this devlog that I did not accomplish, which is the UI. I will do that next devlog. Seeing everybody's animations together is so exciting. This feels so polished and interesting. This just looks incredible. I am without words. I'm barely even coherent. I'm so excited about this. So that's it for this week's devlog. We got a lot accomplished and I'm really feeling like things are shaping up and I'm so pumped for more. I am a little worried that things look so good that it might be hard to finish by December 1st, but there's only one way to find out. Next devlog, I'd like to focus on getting some UI done, as well as sketching out more environments for Steven to turn into beautiful pieces of art, and also plan out and establish the narrative in full. I would like to thank my team for doing such a fantastic, bang-up job, and I would like to thank you for watching. See ya next time.